everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Financial Freedom Podcast with your host, Diana and Long.
Hi,
Hey,
how you
Long.
doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Real estate market has slowed down, apparently.
Right to the point.
Right to the point. But I mean, I think
Yeah.
I just wanted to say like how everyone's like, oh my God, the market's gonna crash, and I don't think it's gonna crash. Like even the numbers wise, if you look
Yeah.
at it, like
Well, the thing is that you can increase interest rates, but that doesn't solve the supply problem.
yeah,
Right? The demand is still there. The supply is still short. The only thing that's going to solve that problem is if we build more homes. So just because the market has slowed down, it doesn't mean that there's no more buyers and there's no more demand. It just means people are taking a little bit of a break.
and I gotta say when they say slow down, they don't mean slow down to like past norm. They mean slow down. This is like normal.
Yeah, this is
Like,
normal.
this is normal.
Is just not like a psychotic
Yeah.
market.
Like last time I think it was like blood dropped in water and sharks everywhere, like piranhas, everyone just going for the meat. And now it's just kind of like, hey, let's eat normally.
Really,
Yeah.
honestly, because people were getting 20, 30, 40 offers. I remember there was one property in Brampton where they had gotten 68 offers. Now, mind you, I don't know like how low the price
Yeah.
was too, and that was kind of getting ridiculous too. Like, oh, 40% over asking. It's like 40% over asking. No one said this 40% over value.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was inevitable that things were going to slow down at some point.
Yeah.
So it's not a shock.
And I think it's a good thing to slow down to normal. I mean, before it was just, I mean, it was too much. I think even for the market, I mean, it was great for real estate agents and for people selling their houses, but it couldn't be maintained, of course. And
Yeah.
now slowing down to normal, it just makes things normal. And also, I think people are confuse the market before as normal, which it wasn't, and now
No.
it's gone back to normal. But it's less. I mean, no, it's not less. It's just this is what it should be technically for
Mhm.
Toronto market. And also like they're saying it's all the foreign buyers and like all these empty houses. Well, I like to put that myth away. Is foreign buyers made up for like since 2017, I think, with 1 to 6% at most.
It's a small number. Like,
Yeah.
it does not mean that everything that's being bought is definitely not foreign buyers.
Yeah.
It's a lot of domestic buyers, people who own homes are buying their second homes, first-time buyers, move-up
Investors,
buyers,
yeah,
investors.
Corporation buyer, like like it's nothing to do with foreign buyers, and also like and the vacant home problem we have in Toronto is the number is overinflated in my opinion, because a lot of those so-called vacant homes are short-term rentals, right? They're not like
And why do we have short-term rentals? Because the city has made it so difficult for a landlord. And I hate to say this because I do think that tenants have to have, some rights. But at this point, they basically own the landlord. And I've had many clients who are having a really difficult time getting tenants out of their properties. These are not like, corporations or companies. These are regular people who just happen to be landlords for a property or two. And so when you can't get tenants out of your property, you're going to think twice. Like I have a client now, they're probably going to be only strictly doing short-term rentals for this reason.
exactly. I think it's right now there's this whole environment of people who own houses versus people who don't own houses, or renters versus landlords. And I think that's the wrong mentality of you can't eat each other and fight each other and expect things to go well.
Yeah.
There has to be a fair balance. I think, one of the biggest problems for long-term rentals is that option of like you do have band renters. Like, and then when you have that as a landlord, it just makes your life so difficult. And you were trying to pay off this thing as well. So there needs to be a middle ground.
Yeah.
And I think that middle ground needs to come a little more balanced. And that's why a lot of people are going short rentals, because it's true. Even myself, if I'm on a property, I'd rather do short-term rentals than deal with a renter that will cause trouble or, there are some negative effects with short-term rentals as well, but they don't stay.
You're not stuck with a tenant. I mean, mind you, like for majority of the time, like most landlords don't have these major issues. We only hear the bad things. It's like when you look at headlines, you only see the negatives. You don't hear anything positive. So there are still a lot of great tenants that pay their bill, pay their rent, and they're not a hassle to the landlords. But you do get those like bad apples. But even like real estate news headlines right now are kind of ridiculous. Like I saw one the other day. Oh, sale prices have dropped by 41%. And the way that they had the wording, it was implying that prices have dropped by 41%. And I'm like, that can't happen in a month. Like, that would be insane. We would just have people would be going crazy.
That would destroy everyone.
That would destroy people. Like, and who the hell? I don't have a single seller in my database right now that's willing to sell their homes right now for 41% below the value.
And people just wait then. Like, I mean,
people
just wait. And then, and that brings up topic of, like, you know, also with, you know, new home buyers or people trying to get in the market, right? And this topic of, oh, Toronto's so expensive, which is true, but it's not something that people can't afford. You just have to pick your steps. You know, yes, you can't buy that luxury home anymore by saving. You can't buy that townhouse right away anymore. But that's for any major city. You go to New York, you go to Tokyo, you go, like, you know, there's these, you can't just do it right away with the certain income you have. And I think there's this we have to disillusionize people with, like, hey, maybe you start with a condo first. And from that condo you can buy, rather rent it out after refinance or even sell to buy something that you really want, right? And I think you know, there's ways to do it. Like, for example, my friend, you know, this is why I say it's possible to buy a house. Like, my friend's a single dad. Like, he's a single dad, and I have tremendous respect for him. And he bought a townhouse for his daughter, but he worked 3 jobs.
Wow.
He didn't eat much. Like he ate ramen noodles, gave his daughter most of the best food. Like, he suffered through it. Yeah. But he had the vision and the commitment to, like, hey, you know what? I can do this. I'll just figure out a way.
Yeah,
you know?
He's smart because look, the wealth gap in this country is getting bigger and bigger. The wealth gap in all of North America is getting bigger and bigger. And you know that corporations are buying homes right now. They're getting into the freehold single family home market. Yeah. So how long are you going to wait before it becomes impossible for you, because you're competing with these corporations? Is it wrong or right? I can't say, right? I don't think it's okay that corporations are competing with buyers, but it is what it is. Yeah. We can't, you know, we don't like or we don't agree with a lot of things. So I think it's really, really important for a lot of people to do, first-time home buyers, to do exactly what your friend did, sacrifice, because without real estate in North America, your retirement is going to be hard. Yeah. Right? I mean, are there other investments, maybe stocks, crypto? I'm not, again, like, I think we've talked about this once before. I'm not not that familiar with it. I feel like I should have been by then, but by now. But honestly, you got to do what you can. You got to do what you can. And that's why I tell people to get into pre-construction, because it's a great segue. It's a great segue into the market. It gives you time. You're not, you know, immediately having to get a mortgage, because I think it's these mortgage payments that make first-time home buyers petrified. Yeah. Because they think that if they don't make their mortgage payments, the world is going to come to an end, and they're, you know, the police is going to come to their door and arrest them, and they're going to go to jail. Yeah. First of all, when you're in a situation, you always manage to make it work. Okay. Most situations we manage, right? But it's having that discipline, having that. Making a plan. And if you're not making enough earnings, then you have to either get a second job, or you kind of have to figure out how to make more money. And I think people don't want to talk about this. Really, you have to, at this, you know, at a certain age, you have to learn how to make more money. You have to. Exactly.
And truthfully, buying real estate at the beginning, it's like planting a seed, especially pre-construction. It's like planting a seed and waiting for the fruit to grow, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, like, I have friends definitely who have bought condos as well, and, you know, it's their first home they own. They're renting it out, let the mortgage bill. What are they gonna do? They're gonna refinance it and buy something else. Yeah. And then after one day, like, hey, you know, I have a big family now, or I want to have a big family. I'm getting married. I don't even want to refinance. I just want to sell it, be done with it, and put that money towards the home I really want, right? And not worry about that extra mortgage. Like, and that's the option you have. But if you don't own anything, you don't have any equity like a home, you can't do it. And I thought people like think, oh, it's, you know, you read a lot of comments online, like, and they're like, oh, it's overpriced, you know, I'm gonna wait till the market crash. And, like, unfortunately, the people who say that are always left in the wind and left behind, because you can wait till maybe to Armageddon. And if you want to buy during Armageddon, I hope the best for you, because like they always say, oh, I'm gonna wait for the crash. I'm like, okay, I understand what you're saying, but if you wait for the crash, when the crash comes, that means it's a huge economic downturn, right? And that huge downturn, let's say you have the cash available to buy a property. Are you really going to risk that to buy that property when you could possibly lose your job, or you don't know the financial situation of your family anymore? So why would you put that risk on to buy a new home at that time?
Well, everybody wants to buy a home when it's like the lowest, right? But you can't really time the market. That's one. Two, when the market was crazy, like a few months ago when sellers were getting 30, 40, 20, whatever offers, there were a handful of buyers that said, oh, I'm just going to wait till the market to slow down. Yeah. The market did slow down. And I want to know, like, did a lot of those buyers actually, because that's the thing, right? Like, people have a fear of actually buying real estate. It's not about the market. So I think making a plan, but also some ways that first-time home buyers can get into the market, you can also have partners, right? If you can't come up with the down payment, let's say you want to buy pre-construction, it's 20% down payment or deposit, or 15%. Sometimes you could find some random ones. Have a partner, and then I'll hear people say, oh, I don't know, I'm worried about getting into partnership. Well, it's either you get into a partnership or you just don't do anything at all.
And truthfully, not doing anything at all is the worst of anything. Or partnership was honestly like a little scary for some people as well, and it's understandable. But then that comes along to your own lifeline, your own life choice as well. Like, if you don't have a set group of people around you, if you want to be successful, and you don't have a set group of people around you that you can say I can partner with in a business or even like a investment, then I would say reevaluate the circle you have, right? Because right now, even the property I bought in Aurelia, I partnered with a friend, and like it's because I know I'm part of it because we have the same mindset, we trust each other, and we know that this is a business venture and there's no feelings between me and him. It's like we'll make decisions that's best for our business or our investment, right? And truthfully, if you don't have that circle as a young person too, if you're not building a foundation of that kind of circle and you don't have that circle, then I would say reevaluate yourself, and then from there you can truly maybe buy something later on.
Yeah, and like you said, like I kind of understand this hesitation into getting into partnership, but with a good lawyer, you can make that contract super clean, very buttoned up. Like, you will not have any problems going forward. You have to think, because this is what lawyers do, right? They structure contracts for joint ventures and things like that. So why not look at that as an option? Another option is house hacking. You can buy a property, live in the basement, rent out the upstairs, or Airbnb the upstairs, however you want to do it, and a majority of your rent will just be paid, and you could live in the basement.
Exactly, just
sacrifice.
Sacrifice.
I mean, I don't think that like living in a basement is suffering. I think
I'd live the basement.
Like, honestly, I mean, on the grand scheme of things, it's only for a couple of years until you get on your feet, and who knows? Like, then you kind of get married, you get into relationships, then it becomes common. Like there's so many ways around it, right?
Exactly. And like I think you just people just have to get out of this mentality of tripping themselves up and have that plan. Like, if you have a plan, then and follow through with it, right? But have a really detailed plan. Like, and if you don't plan yourself out, then you're just forever going to be staying where you are, and that's truly the worst, right?
Yeah,
like,
I'm truly scared for the younger generation. Like, if they don't get into the market now, it's going to become so hard for them, but there are some young people that are really, really smart. Like, there are the ones that got heavily into crypto, and I keep bringing this up, but they're making really good money.
They're making
really good money. But if you're not doing anything with your money and it's sitting in the bank, inflation is going to kill you. So real estate is one of the best inflation. It protects you from inflation, right? What are we at, like 8% right now? It's crazy.
I think, and it's only going to get a little bit higher because right now it's just, people. This is why also like people say, oh, the house price is going to drop a lot. I'm like, yeah, maybe if it does, but another way it'll go back up because your cost of materials have gone up. There's the builders can't reduce pricing that much. Like, it just like even the cargoes containers have increased, I think, by tenfold almost. Because before I met a friend who does the shipping containers, and he's like,
Yeah.
before you can buy it for like, let's say 5,000 a container, now it's 50,000.
But that's why all these successful people are putting their money
Yeah.
in real estate. It's to protect you from inflation. So why not just do what the rich people do? Don't
Exactly.
do what the poor people do, because the poor people are putting their money in banks. What do you think banks are doing? Banks are literally taking your money and reinvesting it. And they're buying real estate. That's what's happening right now. So when you give your money to the bank because they told you it's safe in your savings account, they are lying to you.
It's true. I mean, like, and thankfully, at least our Canadian bank system is a little stronger. That it's a lot safer. But there's places in the world like
You're still losing money.
Yeah, like,
even in a I don't care where you are.
Oh, you're losing money no matter what you're playing for bank, because you're in the bank. It's sitting there, not doing anything.
Not doing anything.
You should do the stocks, real estate should be the best hedge fund, of course.
Even in a real estate fund, like even if you don't want to go out and buy a property, honestly, please do not put your money into a bank.
Yeah.
Put it in something safer than that.
Exactly. Like, it's, I think, to people who feel like, hey, there's no future in the real estate, or there's it just seems bleak. It truthfully isn't. You have choices and options at your hand, and it's not as simple of borrow the money from your parents. No, it's you can work towards saving that money as much as possible right now, and buy what you can, and use that as a stepping stone to buy what you want. It's not that bleak. I mean, Toronto is still far away from New York, and New York is still thriving, and New York prices are definitely still higher than ours.
Yeah, they didn't crash like 60%.
Yeah, because it's just this whole idea of like, people are, like to complain, unfortunately, especially those who don't have something, like to complain the most. And I say you can either complain or you can work towards having it, right?
Yeah.
And the easier step, truthfully, is instead of complaining is to, hey, how much do I need to buy a house right now? Okay, figure that out first, right? Or even in this so many years, or pre-construction. How much do I need? Okay, then next step is, how do I get that money then, right? And then how do I save that, and plan it out and follow that plan, and then you will get there. It just may take some time, but you will get there.
I want to talk about interest rates for a second, because yes, interest rates are rising, but remember that during COVID they dropped the interest rates to like historically the lowest interest rates we've ever seen.
Yeah.
So just to put things into perspective, my interest rate was at like 1.5, okay, which is stupid low. Like, we've never seen anything like that. And as the interest rates are going up, I'm at 2.3 right now. Prior to COVID, 2.3 was an excellent rate to have.
Yeah.
So yes, it's going up, but really it's just going up to what normally it would be. Now, mind you, it might go up to maybe a little bit higher than what we would have been used to, or what we saw before COVID. But, it's still not terrible.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to make my payments, And remember, a lot of people are getting, a lot of people who have been approved for a mortgage, who currently have a mortgage, they were approved for a higher rate because of the stress test.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know. It's like when you kind of have to put things into perspective and look at it in a different way, not just the way that the media wants you to see it.
And there's definitely a sensationalization in the media with regards to, the housing market in Toronto. Like, there's always these panic headlines that, that they kind of like, and they target people, unfortunately, who have that mindset. So you just keep stuck in your circle. But I guarantee you this: if you start looking into how to buy real estate, and the benefits of real estate, you're on your feed that you'll get are articles that will explain to you, hey, the market is fine, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, plan for it. Of course, it will be maybe a drop, but that's fine. And real estate's a long game, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you have the long-term game, you're fine.
Yeah, and I had a thought, but I lost it. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Oh, so with pre-construction, for example, like let's say a first-time home buyer, if you don't want to go into resale and buy a property or get into a mortgage right now, with a pre-construction, your deposit structure is scattered in 2, sometimes even longer than 2 years. But we have seen up to 750 days that you have to provide your deposit. this is you without ever having to pay a dime in mortgage. So yes, the prices in Toronto have gone up. I mean, everything in Toronto has gone up. You can't even get a car anymore. So it's not just houses. But this is why rich people are putting their money into real estate. Now, if you don't want to buy in Toronto, you can go, like, we had a project where it was in Barrie, right? Way cheaper.
Yeah, and Barrie right now, actually, there's like one of the condos were $499, like
$499, and they had like these townhouses for 800,000 for like 1,400 square feet. There you go. Yeah. Like, then you can actually get a proper townhouse for the same price as a one bedroom in Toronto. So there's options. You just have to make the sacrifice, in my opinion.
You have to make the sacrifice, and you make the decision to follow through something. But yeah, like, honestly, like, people always say, Toronto, buy outside a little bit and go a little further. Like, buy what you can afford. I think is the most important for real estate. Like, don't, of course, we're not going to push someone to buy something like, that's out of your limit. Like,
of
buy
course.
something within
I
your
don't
limits.
want people to buy anything that's out of their limits because they won't be able to close.
Exactly.
So we have to be conservative at some point. I surely don't want to give the message to just, be reckless and, go out and buy things that you can't afford. You have to have a plan. But to be honest with you, sometimes you have to have faith. Yes. You have to have faith. You have to just, make an investment when you buy real estate. And I get it. You're scared, but you're making an investment in yourself. You're making an investment in your future.
Exactly.
You are taking your future seriously, because if you don't learn to make money in your sleep, you're going to work for the rest of your life. And that's what real estate allows you to do, is make money in your sleep.
And even if not, like, to work the day-to-day job and everything, it's okay, but then you have that cushion of real estate. Let's say you don't want to do real estate investing, but at least you have an equity that goes towards not just yourself, but your family, your kids in the future. Like, this is something that builds something for your family, right? It's not, and it's true. Real estate is investing in yourself. There comes a point in time where you have to say, hey, I'm gonna do this, and I will figure out a way. Like,
for sure.
It's like, okay, I judge my monetary means. Okay, I have the deposit structure, and the building's to be completed in, let's say, 4 years, right? Mm-hmm. Right now, I got a mortgage pre-approval. I'm good. I just have the faith in myself to make these payments and do what I have to do for my future self. Right?
Absolutely. And there's a lot of options, honestly. You don't just have to buy, what you think, like, a typical one-bedroom condo or whatever. You don't have to buy a freehold. I think we were just talking about this downstairs. Like, just buy a condo. You know. But I urge young people to take this very seriously, because if you don't, it's going to be very, very hard. Life expectancy is like 85. Retirement age is 65. Like, your pension plan is not going to help you live for 20 years.
No, it's not. And honestly, I urge you. I even tell like the young people, real estate, buy it, because and do it now than later, because honestly, it's only going to get more expensive. There's no way it's going to get less expensive. Even if there is a huge price dip, I doubt you will want to buy at that huge price dip time either. Like, because
the market cooled down. Hey, you guys were waiting for the market to cool down, and it did.
Yeah, and this is the perfect time to buy resale. You can buy like who bought like something like a nice 1+ or 2-bedroom condo for like 600 something. And that's like that's not overpriced. That's the right price in that area. So it's not like you're buying a $900,000 2-bedroom suite, but
whoever
nowhere.
is not going to look into this right now, you're crazy, because you could still get into a variable mortgage with a pretty low rate and not get into bidding wars and still get a property for relatively decent.
Exactly.
Who knows what's going to happen next year or the year after? I mean, there are always economists that say we're going to have a crash. I mean, if you say you're going to have a crash enough times, at some point in a decade, it might happen, right? But who knows how big the crash is? If we have a dip of 10%, if it's been increasing by 20-30% every year, a dip of 10%, you're still in the positives.
Yeah, and truthfully, yeah, exactly. Like, if your dips, let's say in 2 years, you're still because you make equity every like 5%, let's say minimally, like
conservative.
Very conservatively, it's 5%. So you're still good. And truthfully, even if it does dip, the dip lasts for a year or two, max 2, I think, and then it just goes back up. Like, because the last crash we had, like, just look at the numbers, it didn't last that long, and all the people did who owned real estate is they just held it, and then you're fine.
Like, and real estate is not going to go out of style. Like, have you ever heard someone say, "Hey, I don't need a house anymore"? Has it ever gone out of style? Like, I don't know. Housing is a need, right?
Yeah,
it's essential.
It is exactly essential, and like, it's better to have it than not have it, especially these days. I mean, do your stocks, do your Bitcoin, do your NFTs, but always diversify. I always say, like, in real estate.
Be careful with stocks.
Well, stocks just took a huge
like
turn.
Anybody
actually
could just go on Twitter and make a comment. Like, Elon Musk can just go and be like, "Hey, you know, like, this company sucks," and then all of a sudden their stocks just drop.
It's true.
By a tweet.
Especially Elon Musk's tweet.
Exactly.
This guy moves everything but poverty. He moves apparently.
I think it's Bill Gates owns the largest,
well, he's smart.
Farmland. So that tells you something. I mean, Bill Gates is buying all this land. Hey, follow the money.
Follow the money. Like, and also, like, who doesn't own real estate? Like, it's just impossible, right? But I think the main message for us, like, to a lot of young people, is just buy now what you can, or start saving now. Start having that plan now, so when you're down the road, you're not caught with your pants down, with not being able to afford anything, and then you're just renting for the rest of your life. And it's hard to start later than earlier, right? Like, honestly, for me, like, if I start earlier, well, I did start a little earlier, but it takes time for it to come out, right? Because with the condo, my condo led to a townhouse. My townhouse led me to a rental property. Right?
I mean, with mine too, like, I bought with minimum down payment. That small condo, it still hurts a little bit when I know how much I sold it for and how much it's worth now. It's devastating. I don't even want to talk about it. But that kind of allowed me to buy my second home and third home and so on, right? That's what, like, the real estate equity does for you. But there's, look, first-time home buyers, what are your options? Save as much as you can. Get a second, third job. Make sacrifices. Partner with people. Partner with friends, whoever you can. Sometimes parents, right? House hacking. House hacking is another option. Or buy a property if you don't want to pay the mortgage, rent it out on Airbnb, and stay with your parents. There is no rule that you have to stay or live in the house that you own. I have actually not lived in any of the houses that I've owned. So
exactly. I mean, I think just have that commitment, have that sacrifice. And there was what was the saying? No sacrifice, no victory.
Yeah, exactly. Right? I think we'll end it with that. I like that.
I think so.
Thanks for watching. And if you guys enjoyed this episode of the Real Financial Freedom Podcast, hit the subscribe button and see you on the next episode.